Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Outliers YouTube channel and our program, Get to Know. I'm your host, DP Lyle, and I'm here with my cohort in crime, Kathleen Antrim.
Thanks, Doug. It is great to be here, and we've got another fabulous interview for you today. He's been, boy, all over the world, someone that we need to thank for his service, a special ops soldier. He's done it all. We've got Sean Hagerty here. He is a best-selling author, and he's bringing out a new book June 6th, which we're going to talk all about. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Thanks. Really appreciate you guys having me.
Oh, it's great to have you on. And, I want to find out what's been going on in your life. Share with us what's new.
Well, a lot's been going on with obviously getting the second book launched. It launches June 6th. And I'm working on a third. And I got a recent opportunity. I think you remember before I worked for the federal government, I took the fork in the road, which was a deferred resignation until September. So I am currently an starving artist, and I figure that gives me a full 5 months to go all in on my writing, podcasts, social media, to see if I can make it a go as a writer. Hopefully, October 1, I will not be back on the streets looking for a job.
I'm sure that's going to happen because you've got just riveting books. So can you talk to us a little bit about the department you are temporarily away from, but you were doing some really interesting work with the science department? Explain that.
Yep. So the Defense Science Board is a FACA board, and it reports to the Secretary of Defense. And it's basically intellectuals, businessmen, people from what's called FFRDCs, federally funded research places like MIT Lincoln Labs, all the big brains, and they basically come together and discuss up and coming technologies, recommendations where the government should invest and divest, and basically what's going on in industry and who's got the hottest tech on the street that can be utilized by DoD. Kind of that in a nutshell. And as the Fed, we kind of had to make sure they followed the rules and they're unpaid, and only work so many hours a year. And then we'd facilitate basically their meetings and their briefings through Pentagon and the DC area. And
do any of your duties bleed into AI and how that's coming along? And
yes. Again, I'm not a scientist. I'm a grunt,
sure.
So it's kind of funny getting exposed to this world. But I kind of bring the kind of common sense. A lot of these guys are really, really brilliant, but they haven't been in them. They came up with this product. This is the latest and greatest, and I'm like, there's no way. That is too heavy. Or we don't have that kind of power in the field, or something like that. So I've gotten to do extraordinary things. Last fall, I got to go on the USS Nimitz for a 30-hour tour. Wow. So I've never been on an aircraft carrier before. Pretty neat to see.
Oh, no doubt. Now, a lot of the technology that you see in those meetings, is it classified?
So, yeah, we were, when the reports come out at the end, they're unclassified, but all our briefings are usually pretty high classification levels.
And do you see things, I know you can't talk about it, but you could probably tell us yes or no. Do you see technologies that we don't, as the lay people, even know exists? Things that are just really extraordinary?
I think is what it is technologies exist, but you don't realize in what manner they're going to be utilized by the military. So there's a lot of research in areas of everyday things we use. How can this also be used to protect? Right now, the biggest thing is this whole Iron Dome, right? Golden Dome.
Right.
The name change. They changed the Golden Dome. It's a lot of work on that. It's hey, what are some technologies that can really help with this growing crisis of missiles from abroad and even on a smaller scale, all these UAV attacks you're seeing.
Would something like that work with like a Club K or something that could be very close to our shores?
That I don't really know. I understand the technology and I understand what they're trying to do, but we're kind of just getting into this topic and that was
yeah.
My knowledge is no more.
That's when it was getting juicy.
And you're away from it now, so that's good. You get to focus on your books. Well, how did Jones Point do? Is it doing okay?
It's doing all right. I think the hardest part of any author, I'm sure you've interviewed and yourself knows, no matter how great your product is, it's getting it out there. And that's another reason why this 5 months is so important to me, because I've been, I commute 2 hours, work an 8-hour job, commute 2 hours home. When do I have time to figure out the algorithms on Facebook to get? That's what I'm learning. Taking classes, done some workshops and some seminars, and I've got a great product, but how do I get people to see it and want to buy it? So that's really what my goal is for the next 5 months.
Trust
That
me,
is the
we all
conundrum.
wrestle with that. We all wrestle with
Yes.
that. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about Cabal. Tell us about it.
So ball picks up where Jones Point left off. Dane Cooper still continuing his mission to find his daughter, and oh, sorry, the screen changed, confused me. If you remember from the first book, Jones Point, it was revealed at the end that there was kind of a group of kidnappers led by the keeper. So the cabal is starting to coordinate efforts against the keeper and his men, but they suddenly find themselves the hunted as keeper decides to fight back. And we start seeing some loss of the cabal members, and the team now has to race against time to not only find them but protect themselves.
Well, tell us about Dane.
Yeah.
Where did you, how did you dream him up and create him, and how much of you is in him?
Right.
My wife says that all the time, especially when I write some sarcasm. She's like, I see you saying that. Honestly, so I had a discussion. I was down at a Ranger rendezvous 2 weeks ago down in St. Augustine, Florida. A bunch of old Ranger buddies. A lot of them read the book. Again, I know everyone's surprised we can read it. And a lot of them were asking me how I came up with it. And we were talking, a lot of us have gone time together. When we talk about when you're in combat, at least from my experience and a lot of fellow soldiers, you're not necessarily afraid for your own life as much as you're afraid that you're gone from home. You're, it's very chauvinistic, but you're the protector at home. What would happen if something happened to my family when I was gone? I have 2 young daughters. What would happen? And I've seen other things. There was a movie, and I forgot what it was named. It was called Ransom with Mel Gibson. Do you remember that movie?
Oh, yes.
And what did he do? Starts threatening him and puts a ransom. I was like, wow, would I have, I don't know, I didn't quite have the backbone to do that, but a whole different take on it. And how would you actually take action? And I've got a particular set of skills as working in special operations, and I would go outside the law and I would find my children, period. And that's kind of what it was born from.
Wow. So looking at the second book, I mean, it's often hard to write a series. I mean, I don't think people realize, how do you keep it fresh? How do you keep that alive and also stay engaged yourself?
So believe it or not, I actually mapped all 3 books before I even started. Oh. I had the entire project, and then I said, this is no way this is one book. There's too much story to be told. Now, don't get me wrong, it took all different turns and twists and different directions. I mean, I have scenes that I just found. I was going through some of my notes. I was like, oh, I forgot that bar fight scene. But so I already had the problem I'm finding in number 3 right now is I'm wrapping it up, but I'm also leaving it open to a larger universe to continue. So it's one of those, that is the hard part. I've got, as I'm doing stuff on the screen here, I've got all the multiple screens in my office. I've got 1 and 2 up so that I'm binding, making sure as I draft my outline, hey, close this hole here, close this loop here, open a new loop here, related to this book, we can close it. So that mental framing is kind of fun, to tell you the truth. I'm actually enjoying it.
Did you create a Bible, as they say,
I did. But that was only after this.
Yeah.
I'm learning, right? I'm learning. The first book I wrote on which leaf paper, legal yellow notepads. This book, my wife said, give it the time. She bought me a Remarkable. So I still hand write it all and then zap it in the computer. So now I'm trying to slowly, okay, let me get some stuff up, did some more deeper character descriptions so I can maybe bring out some more B and C line storylines in the third, I don't want to say final chapter of the series, but the third book in the series. Which I'm
that's what I was going to ask you. You said you had all 3. If this was planned to be a trilogy, or is it going to have longer legs, or do you have an idea for other things you want to do? Other characters?
I have right now. What I'm thinking of is that yes, this 3-part series was meant to be that. But then we've kind of come up with some interesting characters along the way. So I'm looking at the possibility of some standalones. You got all about Dane and his origin story and the Cabal. What if you got a single book about Charles, the president's origin story? You get a taste of it in Cabal. It'll tell you how the Cabal was formed, who the players are. What if I gave some interesting things I'm listening? Almost like Marvel, right? We did a Marvel movie together, but then I did a Thor movie and I did a Spider-Man. Again, just throwing around the ideas and trying not to get too ahead of myself, but I want to make sure I'm keeping. Anytime I have an idea, I've got my notepads right here. Just write them down real quick so I have them and I can look at them later. There's 4x6 cards all over this desk. brought the camera up so you could see my mess today.
Oh, we want to see it. No.
Yeah, we do.
You know,
The
well,
messy writer.
Frasier was a spinoff of Cheers, so if
Yeah,
spinoffs work. Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely. So you don't use any writing software like Scrivener or anything like that?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. And I'm sure my publishers are there. I turn it in a Word document and I've got it crazy edited because I don't have it as it's going in a book. Like I have all dialogue in order to pull out separate paragraphs. It is from my mind. So when I'm going back, seeing what was said, if I miss something, it stands out more. So they said it's fine coming in that way, but just for the way my brain works,
Mhm.
it's easier for me to do it that way.
Everybody finds their own level of water, you know, and that's
Yeah.
the beauty of writing. Everybody does it differently, and even if you're quote an outlier or a pantser, that covers so much territory, and people have different ways of doing it, you know, and it's great.
I'm in the middle on that. I'm a plotter, but I totally pants. I go all off.
Exactly.
I have all my original notes and I've kept them in case like things one day I can auction them. But you can see like the original story and where it just went up and then took a sharp turn and then backwards a little bit and then a different turn. And then, like I said, I'm finding chapters I didn't even use.
Mhm.
Well, during this new time that you have off, are you planning on going to any writers' conferences? Could people
So
see you somewhere?
Yeah.
I just got back from Chanticleer.
Okay.
Well, about a month ago. Jones Point took first place in the Clue Awards. So
Oh, cool.
that was
Congratulations.
I get to meet some other authors, and I finally bought Save the Cat. Um, I also have a fraternity brother who we kind of came back in touch with over the years. And he just retired. He was a high school and a college creative writing professor. So
Oh,
he's
wow.
helping me with a lot of the edits, not necessarily developmental, but where I can pull up some more ideas or what he liked and didn't like, and what a lot of it was more character development. So Cabal's got a little bit more. I always tell everybody, Jones Point was fun, and I think it's a great book. But that was my origin story, and it was kind of like the first Superman with Harvey,
Yep.
Henry Cavill, right? And a lot of people didn't like it because they said it was slow, but they had to build the story. Cabal, I let go of the wheel, and we just saw where we went down the hill. The same way with I have to be a little more strict as wrapping things up, but still having a little bit more freedom. This book gets a little out there. There's a couple of things, again, keep it in reality, but they make a big splash when they go to Savannah. That's what I'll say.
Well, your
Oh,
first novel is always your learning novel. You know, that's
yeah.
true of all of us. You got to learn to put this monster together, you know, this Frankenstein, and make it walk and talk, and it's not easy.
That's for
Yeah.
sure. So Sean, tell us where people can buy your books and where they can learn more about you on the internet.
So they'll be available, normal places, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, was it Book Club? And then my website, which is authorseanhagerty.com, will have links, and so and does my publisher's website, which is bluehandlepublishing.com. I'm launching June 6th here in Occoquan. There's a place here called the Workhouse Arts Center, which is the old Lorton prison, which a lot of people know about. That's the women's suffrage prison where all those terrible things happen. They've turned it into an art gallery. So I'm actually in the Muse Gallery on
Oh,
June 6th, 6 to 8 at night. And we're hoping to have a big crowd come out too, because there'll be music festivals going on there and other things going on. And then that next day will be 7th and 8th of June is the Occoquan Riverfest and Arts Fair, which is one of the biggest in the East Coast. Another author is coming in with me. Was her new book, and we're going to be selling together at the fair for 2 days. So I'm going to keep my webpage updated with different places where I'm going to be doing signings. And I'm trying to. It's actually when we get done here, that's my next assignment is to check in a couple bookings and see if we can get in a couple Barnes and Nobles and a couple of indie stores as well.
cool.
That is fantastic. Well, Sean, it was great to have you. We'll have to have you back with the next one. I know you're working on book 3. I'm going to ask our viewers to please click the thumbs up. It helps with the algorithms. I can't talk today. And please subscribe if you like what we're doing here. Subscribe so you don't miss any of our interviews. And we'll bringing a lot more of them to you. And again, Sean, thanks so much. Can't wait to read Cabal.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Sean, and keep us in the loop. And when you get the next one ready to come out, we want to get you back and chat more about that one and see what's going on with Dane and move on down the road. So
Sounds good. We'll
thanks
do
for
that.
being here. So
Thank you.
that wraps up this episode of Get to Know here on the Outliers YouTube channel. And as you know, we'll be back. Until then, keep reading, writing, having fun, and not getting caught.